Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Good
Good
morning. How
morning.
are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bead Maker and Coffee for Monday, May 13th with Sydney and Stephen Chin.
Yay. Good morning, Stephen. I'm so excited to have you
Good
on.
morning. Thank you for having me. Happy Mother's Day for
Yeah,
yesterday.
thank you.
Yes,
It was nice. It was kind of a chill day. I bought a lot of flowers for my yard, so that was all that I wanted was just flowers for
Oh,
the yard.
nice.
flowers.
Yeah. So it was
Perfect.
good. It was good. Yep. How was your guys's? You guys both have mamas at home too.
Yeah, no, mine was good, but my daughter had a dance competition this weekend, so my wife
Oh,
wasn't even
fun.
home. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
she stayed. Yeah,
Wow.
she was in San Jose. Yeah, she stayed in San
Oh,
Jose yeah, Friday and Saturday. So she wasn't even home
uh-huh.
yesterday, which is
Aw.
very rare. It doesn't happen. So
Yeah, well, that's always fun too. That's always fun too. And Tony, you were traveling, so you had a half a Mother's Day. Oh, but was
Yes,
Bonnie working?
she picked up half a shift yesterday because they were so understaffed. So as soon as I got home, pretty much Bonnie went to work,
Oh.
which was great because I took a nap. And then I took the kids out and we went and got little stuff for her, little treats and some flowers
Oh,
and
nice.
stuff that I didn't have time traveling to get ahead of
Yeah,
time. So
yeah,
we surprised her with that when she got off work last night. So that was fun.
nice. Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been traveling a little bit this week.
Yes, 6 flights in 8 days. I did the
Yeah,
math. So
that's a lot. That's a
wow,
lot.
that's
too many.
crazy.
Three different, well, actually more like four, five, six cities, probably,
Yep.
with
Yeah.
all your connecting airports and stuff. Yeah, so crazy. So
Yep.
crazy. All right. Well, everyone, we have Mr. Stephen Chin here today, and I'm so excited. So, Stephen, real quick, just for the viewers who have not heard the whole story, can you give us a rundown of just the story about PNS East Bay?
Sure. So my dad's typical, right? He's typical immigrant story, right? But a little bit different. He was actually an orphan in China, so he was abandoned by
Okay.
his family. Um,
Wow.
so he's gonna be 90 in July, so
Oh
he's
my
up
gosh.
there, right?
That's
He's
amazing,
up
though.
there, and then he was abandoned when he was a child in China. He was picked up by an orphanage, and then
Hmm.
he actually got picked up by a family. There was a husband and a wife, and I guess they couldn't have kids, but they're already here in the States.
Hmm.
So back in those days, it was they were selling birth certificates or whatever. So the family went back there
Hmm.
and grabbed him because he had the same last name, and then they brought
Hmm.
him over, and then somehow they sold his birth certificate, whatever. But he was actually
Huh.
brought in over as like a child labor. It was really bad. It's a really horrible
Oh
story how he
man.
started.
Hmm.
Yeah, he had a really hard childhood, and then
Wow.
came over and he worked at the Chinese laundry. As soon as he got off the plane, and he was like, I think it was like 11 or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
So he had a really hard childhood, and then he went into the military, which is
Hmm.
what he always
Oh,
says kind of saved his life. I mean, when
yeah.
he went in, he didn't even speak a lick of English, right? He understood the
Oh my
language
goodness.
because
Hmm.
yeah, it was weird. It's just a long story,
Hmm.
but anyway, he
Hmm.
went to the military, got out, and then he went to Laney College, and he wanted to go into the automotive, to become a
Hmm.
mechanic, and he couldn't get in, right? So he went
Hmm.
to like a printer to become a printer
Hmm.
press guy, right? And
Hmm.
then he did that for I think a couple of years until he chopped off the tip of one of his fingers with the
Hmm.
with the paper cutter thing.
Hmm.
And then he said, "No, I'm not doing that anymore." So
Hmm.
he went into a couple of businesses with his stepfather, and um, he actually started in the automotive industry. He was doing mobile. Get this, he was doing mobile white wall installations. Is what he was doing.
Oh, oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was back in the day, right? Back in the day, white
Uh-huh.
walls were all the thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So he bought a franchise where he would
Uh-huh.
actually go to dealerships and he would, take the tires off the cars, and
Uh-huh.
he has like a big oven and all that, and he would bake
Uh-huh.
the white walls into the side of the
Uh-huh.
tires.
Hmm.
So it was a lot of work because every car had four tires. He had to pull the car out, take all the tires
Hmm.
off, and then he would
Hmm.
have to grind a groove, and then put the white wall stuff in there, put it in the oven, and bake it, and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And while he was at the dealership, there's other vendors there, of course,
Hmm.
and he started striking up conversations with I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was not a P&S guy. He was a product distributor for a different company.
Uh-huh.
And the guy said, "Hey, Henry," that's my dad's name, Henry.
Uh-huh.
"Hey, Henry, I noticed that you work so hard, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, the pen is much mightier than using tools." So I introduced my dad to selling products. So
Mm-hmm.
my dad was doing that, kept doing it for a little bit. He didn't transition. And then one time was up at San Francisco, one of the dealerships in San Francisco. And it was one of those, in San Francisco, everything goes up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he went into one of these dealerships that was like 3 floors.
Mm-hmm.
They had all their inventory parked on the 3rd floor. So
Mm-hmm.
he dragged all his tools up there, his oven, his toolbox, dragged everything upstairs. And back in those days, all the cars were parked like right next to each other, right? So
Yeah.
in order for him to get to a car, he would have to move all the cars out of the way to get to that one car.
Mm-hmm.
There's just one day he went up there and he had to get one car that was like sandwiched all the way in the corner. So he moved all the cars out. He plugged all the equipment in, got his oven hot, everything was ready to go, and then he blew the breaker.
Mm.
The breaker controlled the whole dealership. So when he blew the breaker, everything turned off. And then he got in trouble and he said, "Okay, that's it. I can't do this anymore." So he went and talked to that guy, and the guy got him into the company that he was with.
Oh,
so he did that for, I don't know how long he was with that company. And then he was actually with Pro Products for about a year or two.
Oh, interesting.
And then at the time when he was with Pro Products, he was competing directly with Bill Phillips.
Ah.
So Bill was working P&S in like the San Francisco area.
Yeah.
Because the way P&S started, you probably already know, but P&S started with, I think it was 3 or 4 partners. And so one of the guys was like the manufacturer, and then the 3 other guys had like routes that covered the whole entire Bay Area. And my dad was just happening to compete with Bill.
That's so funny.
And then Bill saw how hard my dad hustled, and then I guess it kind of got to the point where Bill and the partners decided they wanted to expand the business. So Bill approached my dad and asked my dad to come on board with P&S. And back then, because P&S was a local company out of San Francisco, P&S was doing really well at the time, and nobody could break into the industry here locally. So my dad jumped at the chance and signed on with P&S, and we've been with P&S ever since.
That is so cool. That is so cool. I love it. So let me ask you this question then. So your dad, obviously, I'm sure he's been to the store, right? He's what does he feel about just where you are now and how this is all, I mean, it's been so many years, almost 60 years, right? How does he feel about it now? Like, is he still just so excited for you?
Yeah, my dad, he's not very emotionally connected,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
He's just very traditional Asian immigrant. He just worked hard and did what he was supposed to do. In Asian families, the parents don't really, they don't. They're not very emotional with their kids.
Right. Sure. But he's been to the store, right?
He's been to the store, but he's never said, "Oh, wow, this is great." My parents just don't. They don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't do all that.
Well, it's cool that he's still there to see it all, though.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
what an amazing story. I had to get out of the way because I'm like, I just had a feeling that this is going to be interesting, and I just was like glued to the screen. I had no idea your dad was an orphan. I had no idea that he went through all that. That's amazing. And I've met him, and he's just a genuinely super nice guy, very friendly. And so cool.
Awesome. My parents they built a really good rapport with the local community. Just by being here and I guess being the the local expert, right?
Yeah. Well, and they obviously
Yeah, and then
Go
the
ahead.
way the store started was that's even more interesting story. So they got married
I
in
don't know
like,
how.
I don't know, the early 70s, right? They got married in the
Mhm.
early. So my dad actually went back to Hong Kong and picked up my mom and
Oh,
brought her over here.
oh my
So they
gosh.
were kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like, you know, my mom's sister was already here, and then she kind of knew
Uh-huh.
my dad,
Uh-huh.
and then she said, hey, I have a sister, you know, would you like to meet her? And then they were, you know, pen pals, you know, back then they were writing letters to each other and all that
Oh
stuff.
my
And
goodness.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Wow.
and they never met, right? And then my dad flew
Mhm.
back to Hong Kong and then met her finally.
Mhm.
You know, they sent
Mhm.
pictures, of course, back then, but
Mhm.
they're all grainy, you know, back then. The
Mhm.
pictures were kind of
Mhm.
crappy, right? So he flew back
Mhm.
to Hong Kong and met her for the first time and then brought her over here.
Mhm.
And then, you know, they got married, and then they had my sister first, and then they had me. And then when I turned 5 and I started going to kindergarten, my mom said, hey, I want to get a job. I'm bored. I don't want to be
Mhm.
stuck at home. You know, the kids are in school.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's American, it's the American dream I want to pursue,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Yeah.
my dad said, well, and it was interesting. So my dad, when he first started, the PNS was in San Francisco on Harrison Street,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So when he was back in those days, the distributors, they didn't have storefronts back then. It was all
Mhm.
jobbers,
Mhm.
right? Jobber reps,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
my dad had his van, and then he would go
Mhm.
over to San Francisco once a week. Every Saturday, he would go to San Francisco and he would pick up a whole truckload of stuff, bring it back to the East Bay, and put it in a storage unit. And then he would work throughout the whole week distributing the products, right?
Mhm.
And it just happened to be at that time he was at, I don't know, 5A rent a space or whatever it was, right? And he
Mhm.
had a storage unit, had all the stuff in there. And then one of the managers walked by one day and looked into the storage unit and said, hey, Henry, I've never asked what you keep in your storage unit. So he walks into the storage unit and then he sees all the flammable and the corrosive labels on the products.
Oh
Mhm.
no.
And he said, Henry,
Yeah.
you can't have all this stuff in here, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
he kicked my
Yeah.
dad out. So my dad moved all the stuff to our garage at our old house,
Oh
right?
no. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he did that for, I don't know, maybe 6 months. And then the neighbors started getting nosy and they started looking in there. And then he got nervous. And then when my mom said she wanted to get a job, he said, perfect. What we'll do is we'll find a little location nearby
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then we'll put all the stuff in there. And then we'll set up a little table for you in the desk. And then you can do all my paperwork since you're already doing all my paperwork. So
Uh-huh.
they found the place on A Street. And then
Uh-huh.
they decided it was there's so much history, right? It was like an old piano repair place, right? They
Yeah.
used to repair pianos out of that place, and
Uh-huh.
they had a little counter. So my dad's okay, perfect. We'll just leave the counter there, and then
Mhm.
we'll open the front door. And if people happens to want to come in and buy stuff, then you can service them.
Mhm.
And back then, my mom didn't even speak English yet,
Oh
right?
my
And
goodness.
you guys gotta remember back then there was no cell phones, right?
Right.
So my
Yeah.
mom was, in the storefront helping customers. She didn't speak English,
Wow.
and it was just crazy. And 40 something years later, we
That
moved
is
the storefront
so
over, but
that's so
yeah,
cool. That is
yeah,
so
it's
cool.
just
I think that
interesting
is
story.
Wow.
such a good
Yeah.
part of the story, and obviously your parents did an amazing job, and
Mhm.
you obviously got the passion from your dad because you are extremely passionate about PNS and the products in your store. And for anybody that's ever been in Steven's store, you can absolutely see that he lives and breathes everything PNS, which is so, I just love it. I think that's so amazing. What a
Yep.
great
Yeah.
story. So
Yeah.
great. I love it. Well, so I'm so excited that you're on today. So obviously, for those of you out there with questions, Stephen knows the products probably maybe better than I do in some cases. He
Probably
has
a lot of the
seen,
older products, right?
yeah, he has seen it all. He has seen it all. So very cool. Well, that is absolutely awesome. I'm so glad that you're here today. So let's jump into the part. I don't want to skip the part about what is our favorite product we used last week. So, Stephen,
Yes.
I'm going to let you go first. So, this can be anytime within the last couple of weeks. What is or you can just say, what is your favorite PNS product? Because I know you're a distributor, you're not necessarily out there
Right.
in the shop
Well, the
using them
time,
every day.
yeah,
So,
yeah, the timing's perfect because Romero had talked to one of the guys that we co-hosted one of the events with, and
Mhm.
he brought in his car. Romero offered a I guess you can consider a single step enhancement.
Mhm.
So the gentleman brought the car over, and
Mhm.
Romero has been working on it right in the back. I know you guys left before the car came in, but right where
Uh-huh.
the guys' lockers are, we
Yeah.
actually pulled the
Yeah.
car right into there, right by
Oh,
the back
funny.
door over
Very
there.
cool. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
nice.
Romero has been working on it for like the past 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, he's been using Rehab on it, and it's been working out fantastic. Yeah, he
So
just did
it's
a
so
single step. I think he was using
mhm.
he did a couple of test spots.
Mhm.
The orange pad,
Yeah.
with the Rehab, and
Yep.
man, that car looks fantastic. I mean, every time the guys walk around in the back, say, "Oh man, he
Yeah.
did a fantastic. The car is beautiful. What a big difference."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
that's
got to shout
so
out,
awesome.
yeah, shout out Rehab
Yep.
and
Awesome. That's
Romero, right?
yep.
Yeah, for
Yep.
doing it.
Yep. Romero's awesome. Rehab has been mine the last several weeks, and it probably would be every week, but I know I need to change mine up. But yes, Rehab is absolutely amazing. I had two coatings this week I mean, Rehab and the orange or the blue are just so, so great. And Tony and I just did a training this weekend at MVP Distributing here in Boise, and it's hard to like. It's like it's the only answer now, right?
It's
we we almost
like
feel a
we
little bit
used
bad,
to,
but
yeah, like even in my trainings, we used to do 2, 3, 4 test spots with 2, 3, 4
yeah,
products. But now I'm kind of like, you
hmm
guys, let's just play. Like we just did test spots with
yeah,
pads and used
pads, yep,
Rehab every time. And then they
yep,
could see there was like a soft, a medium, and a hard. And the hard one I got to finally haze a little bit. So it was a
yep,
great example for the students of like, oh, you can get a lot more cut or a lot less cut, a lot,
hmm
more gloss. And we're just using the same product. So in a way, it was kind of
yeah. It
almost
was
even
cool.
more educational. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
I
neat.
Yeah,
thought that
that's
was really
awesome.
cool looking at that. We had a maroon Honda Pilot and it was very interesting. It was very interesting to see the different test spots. We were using, Rehab, but it was very interesting to see the different pad cuts
Hmm.
and how that reacted with the paint. So that was super awesome. The other surprising part, I thought, Tony, maybe you did too, was that some of the softer pads did a lot more cut than maybe the next step up. Like it was kind of like every other one, but it was
Yeah,
interesting to see that it was just the pad. It wasn't necessarily, the stiffness or the cut level that you could still get good results with even a soft pad. Like it was really interesting. So I
yeah.
thought that
Even the
it
white
wasn't,
pad was doing a good
yeah,
amount of work. And I think it
yeah,
maybe has to do with like they are a little softer, so they can contour around lines. Because like that
right.
hood, where I'm doing the
Yeah,
test spots, of course, had body lines on it that
right.
kind of mess you
Yeah,
up. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was really cool.
So cool. So cool. So, my product this week, I'm going to have to give a shout out to Defender. I think that Defender is probably one of the products in our line that's maybe overlooked. I know it's a newer product, and we all get excited about it, but at the end of the day, there's just a lot of situations, and even in our training, where I think it is like the unsung hero. Like, because it's so easy and it's so quick, I think we forget how great it is, right? At least I know I do. So it's always like our last step. I use it probably on every single car. But whether it's the topper for the coating or just a detail spray at the end, everyone knows that my favorite process is to do the wash clay seal, but then to top it with Defender. Um, it's just one of those that it's like the process that takes you 5 minutes but has huge impact. And lately I've been playing with a lot of different SiO2 detail sprays, just kind of comparing, seeing what's out there. And I think we just forget how good Defender is. It goes on so easy. And like yesterday, right? Or Saturday, 2 days ago, we have in training, we have these 16 people and you've given out certificates, you've done all this stuff. It's like the end, and all of a sudden you have to let 14 to 16 people loose with Defender and towels, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, the cars looked perfect, right? There's like no failure point in
It's
it.
not a streaky mess. It goes on the
Yeah,
glass. It goes on everything.
right. And all of a sudden, it's like the cherry on top. All of a sudden, everything looks great and smells good and it's smooth. And so for me, I kind of had to take that step back while I was watching everyone put it on. I use it every day, but I was able to like step back and watch everyone put it on and just go, that was so easy. It smelled so good. It looks great. They all loved it. and it's just like fail proof, and it's such a good final step. And I just thought it's so nice that we have this product that not only protects very well, that we've proven over and over again, but that just is so the user experience, right? That's one thing that we try to hit that mark, is the user experience. And so I think for me, it was just fun to watch other people put it on and just go,
Yeah.
Even though I do it every day, I forget, because it goes by so quick. I forget how nice that is. So
well, and the immediate slickness enhancement to the coating, even, so I'm like, hey, before you guys get too far, just feel maybe with the back of your hand a section that's just coated with Legend versus a section you just put Defender on, and there's a measurable difference. You can feel it. And they're like, oh wow, and the guys who usually the guy's car whose car it isn't in the class, but we had the guy in the class whose car we're working on, which was a little nerve-wracking for him, but he was really happy by the end, really impressed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the fact that you guys had so many people, and everybody's methods are different. 19 people doing the same thing, and everybody's doing it a little bit differently, and nobody's having any issues. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was awesome. So good. So hopefully a few of our students are joining us today. We pumped up the Bead Maker and coffee. All right. So Stephen, we are going to talk about, let's get to some questions first. But we are going to talk about car shows, cars and coffees, because you are one of the masters of that. So we are going to hit on that in a little bit. I don't want everybody to forget that we're going to talk about that. But let's maybe hit some questions real quick.
Well, let me get to those. I was going to say real quick, my product of the last week, because believe it or not, within that 8 days, I detailed a car.
You did.
On Thursday, when I was home for approximately 12 hours, I detailed a car. No, so I was going to say it's actually Cockpit, the interior cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a farm truck come in, and it needed something a little extra than Express can give. All the puppies here.
Oh, so cute. Smile for the camera.
And so Cockpit just has that extra little bite. Sometimes it seems to eat into that thicker dirt and dust better than Express does on occasion. And so that was my hero for the week, because it made it so I actually got a detail done, half asleep, detailing a truck, and then I just got to go get on a plane again. So
nice.
All right, well, I'll get out of the way and I'll get you guys some questions.
Awesome. Very good. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, all right. Jason last week ended up selling some Cockpit last week, because we've been out of gallons of Express for a couple of days.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Yeah, Cockpit I love. I always tell people with Cockpit, I keep Cockpit in my shop. And so what I do is I keep my Express is always diluted 1-to-1. And then I keep Cockpit obviously full strength. And so that's where I don't keep, a lot of people will have 2 bottles of Express. They'll have 1 cut and 1 full strength. And that's where I differentiate. So if I need that extra kick, I use Cockpit, and otherwise my Express stays 1-to-1. So it makes it easy for me. I love that. Jamie the Cleaner, PSC Spay for life. That's awesome.
That's cool. I have to keep that in mind. Yeah. If anybody needs something a little bit more aggressive, I can point them in that direction.
Yep. I love it. That's how I know if it's a Cockpit day. And then if you have to have an Enviro Clean day, I should just refer that car to someone else. That's what I say. Thank you, Josh. All right, Mike. What was the goofy Absolute and Bead Maker solution talked about last show? Hoping not to go back and rewatch the whole thing. So it was called the Honey Pot. I still have not tried it. It's been around for a long time. It's just one that I just, for some reason, I always forget about it. I've heard it's so great, but it's Absolute with a shot of Bead Maker in it. I don't remember the dilutions. You'd have to go watch the guy's video. It's Hawaii Tesla or something like that. Hawaii Detailing. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But if you search PNS Bead Maker Honey Pot on YouTube, I bet you'd find it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I've heard it's great. I think they use it as a detail spray, door jams and stuff like that, which I can see would be great. I just have never made it. So good morning, the Rag Company. I bet you that's Gabe. Terry, awesome. This is an amazing story. It is. And Terry, sounds like Terry has been purchasing PNS for a while.
Yeah.
All right, David. Yes, fascinating and amazing story. Shout out to Mr. Henry. Henry's a star of the show and he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, I know. He's the one that should be here, not me.
That's an incredible family backstory. Yes. So great. So great. I love it.
Yeah,
Superato.
he
Being
built.
adopted
Yeah, he
myself, I
built.
can really appreciate the story. Yes.
Yeah, no, he built a good relationship with a lot of the people around here.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's been retired.
Ramir.
They've been retired probably 12 years, and I still go out in the
Oh,
field, and people are still asking for my dad. Just crazy.
oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So Ramiro, Steven's parents are amazing. Everyone still talks about Henry, and Henry's handshake is the strongest, firmest handshake I've ever experienced. They are amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
So great. So great. All right. Hello, lovely people from Hans. Hi, Hans.
Yeah, he's like one of the Hans is like one of the regulars. He's on every
Yeah, you
week
know
in
why? Because
coffee.
they're in London, and so it's like 2 in the afternoon there. So they're like either finishing up their day or right in the middle. So they're not so early.
Oh, that's
All
cool.
right. Steve says, can you suggest any products to clean and protect ventilated seats made out of Sensafin vegan leather for new BMWs? I believe the dash uses the same material. You know what? Honestly, I still just use Express. So I treat all of those. Tesla says they have the vegan leather as well. As long as it's nothing crazy like you're trying to clean ink out or gene transfer, I still just clean and protect everything as normal. The other thing that you can try on it that I prefer, I really like to use on Tesla seats is the Swift. Now, with that, you do have to go back and kind of smooth out, because it doesn't really absorb things like normal, just the regular leather in cars. And so sometimes you might have to take a cloth and like buff down kind of where it, dried out or not dried out, but sometimes it can leave a little streak on that vegan leather. So you just take another cloth and just buff it out. But otherwise, I kind of just clean them as per usual for sure. Just don't use steam on them. I still do
Oh,
steam, but I
interesting.
spray it into. Yeah, I still use steam, but I spray it on the rag. I just don't ever spray it directly on the leather. It's very delicate. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. All right, David. Mr. Henry was a pioneer in his own way. Mad respect, Stephen.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Lots of comments about Henry. That's awesome. All right, Terry. My first PNS product was purchased at the A Street location.
Yeah,
That's so
a lot of
fun.
history. Yeah, that's a lot of history there. Yeah,
How long? So when did PNS move over to Hayward? That was like what, in the 80s?
late '80s. I think it was '89, '90 is when they moved
Okay.
over.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it was interesting,
That's awesome.
the first couple of years
Yeah.
because my parents were already, established kind of in Hayward,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
when they moved
Yeah.
over, there's like, two locations in Hayward, and they
Mm-hmm.
were at first they were actually selling products out of the headquarters location.
Oh, really?
And I
Oh,
think, yeah,
crazy.
I think they did that for a year or two, and then
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who made the decision to stop. I guess they were
Mm-hmm.
competing against my folks, so they said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, we shouldn't be doing that."
Mm-hmm.
So they stopped selling, and then it became kind of a hassle because they had these things printed out, with
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
address and how to get to the A Street location, and that's when
Yeah.
Bob's always been trying to get us to move closer or to move next door, and
Yeah.
when they took over the other half of the building, everything just kind of fell in place. So
Yeah. So great. And you've been there since what? December 2020 or was it 21?
2.5 years. So was
Okay.
that
20
2021? I think it was
21.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I know
So I
he was
can't
so
believe
excited to have you over there.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already been 2.5 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So great. All
Yeah.
right. Hey, everyone from Shine Your Light. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad everyone's here. So great. I have Defender good stuff. It is good stuff. I just always forget about it.
Yeah.
So good. I actually use it everywhere in my house too. I love it. I have a bottle in my
Mhm.
house. I put it on all my stainless steel, my quartz, everything. All right, Hans, you need to be awake to detail a car? That's news to me. Well, only if you're Tony. Sometimes he chooses to either be awake or half asleep. This week was rough for Tony. He was on the road the whole time.
Yeah, you're traveling too much.
Yep, yep. Gabriel, what's the best option for Lexan Windows? Lucid, View, or Classic? Oh man,
That's a good one.
that is a that is a good one. I would almost say Classic. I would
Yeah.
almost say classic. Lucid is obviously for plastic headlights, but I think because of the size of the area on a Lexan window, I'm going to go with classic because you're going to want to make sure that it wipes off easy. Um, and classic is just so good on plastic as well that I'm going to have to vote classic on that one, honestly.
Agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I wonder if the soul would work on that. I'm pretty sure the soul would probably
Soul would work too. Yeah, Soul would work too. It would just not be as hardy, you know.
Mhm.
Soul's a really great coating, but the only thing that I would get nervous about is plastic. Inherently, the coating's not going to last as long as it does on paint.
Yeah.
So the time that we tell people it's going to last is going to be much shorter. So I wouldn't trust Soul on plastic for longer than about 6 months. So that's why
Mhm.
people will say, "Can I put Soul on trim?" And yes, you absolutely can, but it is going to shorten that life that it
Right.
lasts. So that's why I tend to choose classic on trim as well. I mean, it will work great. It's just the longevity is that's a hard
Mhm.
call for sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah, no, the classic works fantastic on trim. I love
Yeah,
it.
I love it. I love it. I
As
love it
long as
because
you
then you
kind
don't
of
have to wipe it off.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as you kind of prep it, man, it really darkens up the trim. It looks nice.
Yeah. Yep. Oh wow, we have another
Oh,
puppy.
there he
Oh
is.
wow, this
He's
puppy's
a
a
big
little
Interrupting
guy.
dog.
crazier.
Interrupting doggy.
Little crazier. Oh, so
She's just a
cute.
little bit bigger, maybe, than that other
A
one.
little bit
So
bigger.
cute.
Oh my
So
gosh,
Yeah.
hi,
cute.
puppy.
I
Oh,
can't
thank
see
you for
her
knocking my
eyes.
head off.
I
Oh,
can't see
okay,
her eyes.
okay. All right, she's going
My
somewhere.
dog was here, but she went back to bed, so we probably won't see her
Yeah,
again.
I
I don't
don't
know
know
where
where
the cat
my
is today either.
I think my
Here's
wife
the
put I think she put Shelby back in the pen over there. But our dog just turned 4 yesterday. It was her birthday yesterday.
Aw,
Poppy's still a puppy. She'll be one in August.
so
Oh
cute.
wow.
She's
Yeah.
crazy
Looks like
and
Tony's having
big.
some troubles. Yeah, Piper was here earlier, but she's a bulldog. She doesn't last too long. But I don't know where the cat is today. I don't know where Bristol is. I saw her this morning,
Yeah,
but
she
she's
was
sending
nice to
this
me on
episode
this
out.
last trip.
Yeah,
Always looks
yeah.
sideways to me. Well, I'm interrupting with some questions from the internet.
Okay, cool.
So, all disheveled.
So funny.
Okay, so this gentleman says, "Hey there, I have some spots in my white paint that look like rust. I assume it's iron. Was thinking of using your iron fallout remover. I have Chemex snake oil on there on the paint now and just put it on 2 weeks ago. Would using the iron remover also strip that?"
Um,
I don't know what the
I'm
snake
not
oil is. I can try
sure
and look
what
it up,
that I'm not sure what that is. So,
but probably, or it might not.
but here's what I can say is that if there's a ceramic sealant or a wax or a ceramic that you put over the spots, the
Yeah,
iron remover is not going to work. And it's likely not going to strip whatever you put on there.
it does say it's
So
a
you would,
SiO2 ceramic foam sealant.
oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
So I'm going to say that if there's spots underneath that, you're probably going to need to polish it off and then do the iron remover and start over.
Reapply.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, you have to get down to where those spots are. And so if there's anything covering the spots, the iron remover is not going to go through that sealant, right? That's why we put the sealants on so that they're somewhat chemically impervious. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have to start over. You're gonna have to polish that off.
But if it does look like rust, it probably is rust, and the iron buster will work in that case.
Yeah, yeah. You just have to get down to the rest for sure.
Yeah. And then another iron buster question we have: is it compatible as a clay lube with the reset towel? And I heard not all iron removers can be used as a clay lube.
Yeah. So I don't ever suggest using an iron remover with a clay towel. You're trying to do two types of decontamination at one time.
Yeah,
So a couple different things that, and I've talked to Dave at length about this, but is it possible? Does Iron Buster have enough lubricants in it to use with a clay towel? Technically, yes. Should you do it? I'm going to stick with no, for a couple different reasons. One, it's going to make your clay towel stink and it's never going to come out. And two, you are removing iron particles, which could then be sitting on top of the clay, which then you are moving back and forth over the paint, and you're really expecting that that lubrication is going to save you. And I just don't think it's a good thing. So for me,
Yeah.
what I do is I usually crystal wash a whole car, right? Because I want to get all the contamination off. Then I clay. And if there's still iron present, then I'll use Iron Buster at that point, because I feel like that's when it's the most efficient, is when all that other stuff's out of the way. Um, and then you're not having your dirt and all that other stuff absorbing the Iron Buster. So I usually do Iron Buster as a last step if I need it, but I don't feel like you should clay with Iron Buster. You're trying to remove, environmental contamination, all sorts of other stuff at the same time as the iron, and I just feel like those processes should be separate. I really do.
Yep. I've done it, but I agree.
Yeah.
It's like in a pinch it works, but you're sort of risking several different factors of making your life harder down the line. Maybe you said extra scratches that you didn't have to polish out, and then you really need to dedicate like a towel to that. You almost ruin. It's like that becomes an iron removal towel, and it's like, do you really want to have to buy a second one, and etc. So
I don't think anybody was a longer duration of being exposed to the smell.
Right.
Up close too,
I've got a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. I'm starting to like the way Iron Buster smells. Kind of it's soothing in a strange, abusive way. Yeah, it wakes me up when I'm trying to detail.
Well, see, maybe it's you're detailing when you're too tired.
Yeah.
It's a trend with Tony.
Yeah, I can't do it. My hair, the smell stays in my hair, and then I smell it forever. It's awful.
Oh, I can imagine. That makes sense. I've got two more quick ones. So, is frostbite strong enough for a pre-wash?
Steven, do you want to take this one?
I think if you're used to using, what's that?
Have you used frostbite much?
I think if you're used to using like maybe pearl or something that's more of a pH neutral, I think you'll find that the frostbite's going to give you quite a bit more cleaning capability.
Yeah.
So I mean, on certain cars, I would say, I mean, if it's especially if the car is ceramic coated or has a good amount of protection on there, and the vehicle's not that dirty, I'm pretty sure you could.
Yeah. And I would say absolutely you can. Now, if it's coming to, because I live in Idaho, we have a lot of snow, we have a lot of salt on the roads. So when I hear a strip wash, I'm thinking like, I need to strip all the sodium off the car, right? Do I think frostbite's enough? It could be, but honestly, if I'm thinking to myself, I need to do a strip wash on this car, I'm honestly going to do crystal wash and then frostbite right over it, which, I mean, I've seen a lot of chatter on the internet about crystal wash and frostbite being the new peanut butter and jelly. And it's true. I mean, those two will like clean the surface of any car. They really work great together. So if I'm looking at a car and I go, I actually need to strip this car, I'm going to add in the crystal wash. But is frostbite a good soap to use when you want a little kick on, the cleansing? Absolutely.
Yep. It's a pH of 9.8, so it's got a little extra bite from that factor.
Yeah.
Which also, like you said, pairs really well with the crystal wash, since crystal wash is like a 2 something. So it'll neutralize that acid, and the two together. I'm excited to actually do that today on that Wrangler I told you about. So crystal wash and then frostbite it just for fun and just see how it goes. And then last one here, before I get out of your way again, is can Defender be used on a graphene coated vehicle? I'll take my answer offline.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have yet to find something that Defender doesn't work on, actually. Yeah. I've never seen anything that Defender doesn't work on. So yes, I would say absolutely. I've not heard, experienced, or read about any coatings that Defender does not work on top of.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who do PPF and do graphene and ceramic coatings, and they all put Defender, and I've never had any comebacks about it.
Yep. All right, Stephen, here's a question for you from Ramiro. do you prefer the old Terry Foreman or new Ramiro? Meaning,
You
who's your
guys both
favorite?
have. Yeah, no, I won't say. I can't say that. I can't say.
No.
You guys
Yeah.
are both have a special place. You know,
Yeah. There's
both have
no
a
way to
special
choose
place.
between those two.
Yeah. No, don't be
Nice
don't be getting me
Romero.
in trouble, you guys. You know, you're trying to get
Yep.
me in trouble.
Yep. That's
Yeah, both
great.
these
That's
guys are
great.
great. Yeah.
Both great. Yep. Yep. I keep missing Terry. Hey, Terry, I'm going to be in Hayward in a couple weeks. You're going to have to come in. David says, Stephen, are you a JDM 80s or 90s car? And if so, what's your favorite iconic JDM ride?
Yeah, I'm totally right. I came up in the car era in that, in the
Mm-hmm.
90s, right? I
Mm-hmm.
graduated high school. I'm dating myself. I graduated high school in 94, right? So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm all about the old JDM cars, I'm a big fan of I'm actually
Yep.
a big car guy. I love cars, all kinds of
Yeah.
cars,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
a special place, if I can ever afford one, I
There's
would
the
love
cat.
to have like a FDRX7 or
Uh-huh.
there's the cat. Yeah, there's the
There's
cat.
the cat. Yes.
Or
Making a little
yeah,
appearance
or
over there.
R32 Skyline GTR would be, that'd be
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the dream car. I would love
Mm-hmm.
to have one of those. But
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I'm
They're
totally,
so cool.
I'm a total
Very cool.
JDM, 90s JDM car guy. Wow, look at her.
Yep.
She's
Me
so
too.
spry. Look at that.
Me too. Oh yeah, she's a little heavy. She might fall off here. She's in some tightrope walking. So this is a great time to talk about real quick because, like you said, you are super into cars. And this was really the reason I wanted to have you on because it is kind of the kickoff to car show season. I know you do them all year because you're lucky and you live in the Bay Area where you have sun all year.
Right.
But I specifically wanted to bring you on because I really feel like this is something that you have really kind of, immersed yourself in and really made it such a successful program. So, I have my car show, which is coming up in a couple weeks, Cruise in Hidden Springs, but you've kind of put a fun twist on car shows, cars and coffee, kind of melding all that together. So why don't we chat real quick about what you've been doing at PNS East Bay and kind of how you've been bringing the car community together where you live?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's the location, the location, if, some of the guys on, they're local, but a lot of you guys are not local. You guys never been over to the corporate location. It just works, it just works there. It's kind of in an industrial area, we're in a big industrial complex, and every time I talk to Bob about it, and sometimes I get worried, right, about having certain vendors and the amount of cars that show up. And Bob says, "Don't worry, we're the biggest tenant in this facility, so I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with it." But yeah, I mean, the location is it's perfect, and it's getting more and more traction every time we put on a show or put on a Cars and Coffee. People come and and it's just a great location. It's off the beaten path. It's not, we're not sharing, on a Saturday and Sunday, there's no other businesses that are open. So it's not like we're fighting over parking spaces with with the boba shop or with the TJ Maxx or the Ross next door.
Right.
It's all just for us, so the location just works well. I've always wanted to do stuff like that, but at our old location on A Street, we had maybe 3 spots in the front, and a off-center driveway, and it just never, it never would have worked. And then we moved over here, and it was just, wow, this venue here that we have is just perfect, So we started, and then I'll give a shout out to one of the local guys. His name is Roger, and he's a young guy. I think he's maybe mid-20s, and he's been hosting Cars and Coffees probably for a couple of years. And he kind of got wind of the location, and he's the one that kind of got us, put on the map. So he reached out to me, and then he asked if I would be interested in co-hosting an event, and he kind of kicked it off for us.
Cool.
Yeah, and then since then, it's like, once we've had like maybe 1 or 2 successful events, then we started getting all these other people in the local area,
right,
reaching
The
out.
word of mouth spreads. Yeah.
Yeah, and wanting to host at the location and yeah, because the Bay Area is, it's there's a huge car community here in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we've got, people of all kinds of all different genres, right? We've got,
Mm-hmm.
classic car people, we have muscle car people, we have JDM people, we have all kinds of, it's just a big, big, big car community here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and everybody's always looking for a good location that's not trolled by the police, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the
Right.
Hayward
Yeah.
police, you guys get along great, and they
So
support your
far,
events, right? Yeah.
yeah. So
Sometimes
far,
they
so
tell you to
good.
keep it. Yeah, they tell you to keep everybody in line, but they support it, right? They've been
Yeah.
by, and
Yeah. Well,
very
I
cool.
find that. I mean, I talked to you about it before, and I find that I kind of attaching like a charity thing,
Yep.
to
Yep.
it. It helps. Kind
Yep.
of
And
brings up.
that's exactly what I did with mine too. I actually
Yeah.
involve the police in my show, and I involve the fire
Hmm.
department, and it keeps everybody happy. It
Right.
just does. It keeps everybody happy. Well, very cool. And I
Yeah.
know last time you had over 200 cars at your Cars and Coffee, right? You had a lot of people
We
show, or did you have
usually we get
more
we
than that,
get
right?
probably around, I would say, around 300 cars.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That
Yeah.
is so
Three sometimes,
cool.
yeah. It takes, I mean, it goes all the way around the back.
Yeah, all the way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
cool.
not
So
it's
cool.
just a cars and coffee, it's not like
Right.
a sanctioned event like yours, right?
Right.
Where,
Right. Yeah.
where you
Yep.
have to do a lot more organization and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have awards and all that. Ours are just gatherings, they're just cars and
Mhm.
coffees.
But do you usually get like food trucks that are willing to come out, or
Mhm.
no? That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
that's
usually
awesome.
have about 2 to 3 food vendors
Uh-huh.
at every event.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. And then, I mean, when we first started, my whole intention was, to try to promote the local industry. So
Yeah.
I would actually invite like other automotive related vendors to come in,
Yeah.
to set up
Yeah.
booths.
Very cool.
I traditionally don't invite detailers because, I mean,
Yeah.
detailers are always welcome to
Uh-huh.
come, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't just choose, one,
Right. Yeah. Right. Like you just
because
set up a
it would show
booth and advertise.
favoritism.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that just
Yeah.
wouldn't work out. Yeah,
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
when we first started, it was like, I invited, all the local businesses that patronized us, like window tint shops,
Hmm.
dent repair, and PDR, and paint
Hmm.
protection film, and I
Hmm.
offered free booths for all those people to come promote their
Yeah.
businesses.
That's awesome.
That's kind of how we started.
So cool. Well, I love how you have not only brought the car community together, but also just the detailers. There's a couple distributors that really stand out in my mind that really just bring all their detailers together and have the support of all their detailers. And you're obviously one of them. I think it's so great that I've obviously attended several events in your store, and I think it's so great that so many of the detailers are friends. Like I think that is such a
Mhm.
huge advancement in our industry, is where other detailers don't look at each other as competition, but that as friends and one community. And that's definitely
Right.
the vibe that I get in your store. And, I was just there, last week. And I
Mhm.
just think that's so great that they all come in and they all talk and chat and share ideas. And, there's no, competition. It's just one community. And I love that you have fostered that, you know, vibe in your store. So I think that's so cool. And then again, tying it to the whole car community in the
Yeah.
whole area. So
Right.
great job on that. I think it's so great. And it is so fun. It's so fun to bring car guys together, right? I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's
So
nice when, when the detailers come in and, they're all passionate about the same thing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why wouldn't you guys,
uh-huh,
talk and
yeah,
network? That's why when we're at the shop, and I mean, it's not everybody's like that, but if we
uh-huh,
know, because we know our
right.
customers pretty well,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
if two of them or they come in and we know that they have, shared passions, I always introduce
uh-huh,
them to each other,
yeah, yeah.
you
It's so
know.
awesome. So great. So great. I love it. I love it. All right, Tony. I do have I think I've got like 10 more minutes and I have a boat being delivered. I always have like the craziest stuff being delivered on Mondays. But anyway, so Han says, Not London, Sydney, but Netherlands. That's right. It's 4 o'clock there now. Wow. So see,
Oh,
Hans
wow.
is usually finishing up his day when we're doing
Mhm.
Bead Maker and Coffee. He's usually right at the end doing like all his final wipe downs and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's
very
cool.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
I always forget Hans is in the Netherlands because I saw him in London. So that I always think he's from London. Fran, what cleaner do you use to get ice cream stains out? Wow. So a couple different things there to unpack. So ice cream, you're going to have like the dairy, right? The dairy moldy portion, and then you may have the stain. So for the dairy portion, I'm probably going to hit it pretty hard with Terminator,
Mhm.
and then we're obviously going to do the carpet bomber. So really, I think like the whole carpet system, right, is going to cover pretty much beginning to end in the ice cream situation. Um,
Mhm.
so I have had, if we break that down, ice cream stains should come out just fine, but I have had like uh, snow cone. That's probably never coming out. You
Yeah,
know
all
that
that
snow cone syrup?
artificial dye. Yeah, all that
Yeah,
artificial dye in there.
that stuff's not coming out.
No.
But ice cream stains, you should be good going through the whole system because the enzymes and then the carpet bomber, all of that is going to cover kind of every step of what makes an ice cream stain. So you should be good.
Yeah, that's
Quality touch with
pretty
Defender is
organic.
so good. Yeah, yeah. And then obviously the finisher to kind of top everything off. Yes, Defender is so good. It is Show Your Puppy Day today. My puppy's asleep, but we finally have the cat has joined us. She has entered the chat.
Maybe
She's
she's
not very
just
friendly,
hanging
so
out
she's
up
not going to
there.
say hi. Yeah, she's not going to say hi, but she will make an appearance. Looks like Tony's having some troubles. Yes, with a huge puppy on his lap, he does have some troubles. Is that a Portuguese water dog puppy, Tony? Tony, what is your dog? Is it just a poodle?
I think it's a labradoodle. I think it's the same as
A
mine.
labradoodle? Oh, okay. A
Yeah, I
labradoodle.
think it's a labradoodle. Yeah.
Oh,
A gold.
golden doodle.
There you
I
go.
can't keep track of all the doodles. They're so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's too many.
Yep. Very cool. Oh, now I have to hide that. It popped up. Okay. Han says, contact Douglas Reed. He makes snake oil. I don't know anything about this snake oil.
Yeah,
It's an odd name to give a detail product because I thought they were kind of being funny, and now I'm realizing that's actually the name of the product.
well, yeah. I mean, back in the day, snake oil was, what they used to refer to
Yeah.
everything that was kind of fake. Right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm surprised that they would use that. That's kind of funny. I like it.
Maybe just a play on thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right. Good morning, gang, from Keith to
Hey,
Plessy. Good
Keith.
morning, Keith. Interesting. That's a crystal wash questions coming up. All right. Danny says, are you using crystal wash in a foam cannon before frostbite? No, and I do not advise using crystal wash in a foam cannon. Crystal wash is a mild acid, so you don't want to aerosolize it more than necessary. And it's also not a foaming product, so you would not run it through a foam cannon, and you don't want to dilute it at all. So crystal wash works in that you spray it on a dry surface and it dries itself. And that is what breaks the contamination away from the surface. So if you change that process, crystal wash is not going to work as intended. So no, you spray crystal wash on dry, let it crystallize, then foam cannon right with the frostbite right over it.
Mhm.
Gabriel, yes. Dania, straight in the spray bottle. Crystal wash needs to be
Yep.
dry for best
There you
results.
go.
Absolutely.
Yep. There you go.
Absolutely. 3M Auto Spa says, good morning, Steve and Sydney. Good morning.
Good morning. That's Marcelino.
Oh, all right. It was great meeting you at the PNS open house. Yes, I always love coming to those. So great. That was the best.
Mhm.
The best. And Han says, so the snake oil, it's a wipe on clear coat type of product. Oh, interesting. Well then, wow.
It's interesting.
Well, so for the gentleman with the iron spots, you may want to call that the gentleman that makes it, because if it's a clear coat type product, you may need to do something else to get it off to get to those spots. So definitely check in with them for sure. Markabar, good morning, folks. Loving the rehab. Just saying. Yep, everyone's loving the rehab. So, so good. So good. So good. Life changing. I know
Mhm.
we don't like to say that, like game changer, life changing, but I'm sorry. Rehab is life changing, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how
Okay.
the, Bob says they're working on, the whole line. I wonder how,
Mm-hmm.
how good the compound's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and how
Yeah.
that's going to, fit into the whole thing with the rehab doing so
Yep.
well.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, there is always a place to do the multi-step correction, right? There is always a place. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Mhm.
All right,
So
Tony,
Gabriel
question for
just
you.
just called me out. Yeah, he just said, "Hey, you forgot my first question," which I did skip over. It's how's it going with the labels? Are you still on my sabotage mission? I haven't even started it yet. The Operation Natural Finish Label 2024
Oh.
is still going to happen. Don't worry. Excuse me. Now I can't even talk anymore. Goodness, I'm falling apart. So Bob has been busy. He was out of the country. He's had all kinds of crazy
Mhm.
stuff going on. I've obviously been busy, but don't worry. I will sneak in there and I will make sure that we
Mhm.
get natural finish labels this year. It'll be my do or die,
Yep.
Do or die.
my mission.
Oh, too
Well, that's pretty
funny.
much it. Hans is laughing at
Okay.
me.
Bad Tony. That's
3M's
funny.
saying hi. Hey, bud.
Nice.
And he was one of my
Nice.
very first students when I took over as
Mhm.
trainer.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. IK Multi Pro 2 or any acid accepting pump sprayer is best for crystal wash. Cheapo spray bottles cause too much mist. I just use our regular crystal wash bottle. That's what works for me, but you can also
Yep.
use it in the IK multi works just fine too. Yep. I have not had any issues with it in the IK multi. I know some people were worried about, it being an acid. I personally have not had an issue, but I also don't leave it sitting in there for months on end either. So,
Yeah, if you read the label or the little packet for the IK sprayers, they say it's suitable for acids. So
yeah, yeah, I've not had any issue with it. So, I think you're good to go in the IK multi. But Crystal Wash, we always like to give the heads up that, I mean, it is an acid, so you're not wanting to put a ton of it, in the air. I am the
mhm.
worst person. I talk every time I'm using Crystal Wash, whether I'm doing a training or I tend to be on the phone a lot. When I go to start a wash on a car, so like I do my whole interior detail and I'm noisy, right? The blower, the vacuum, all the things, right? The steamer. And so I always have phone calls to return. And so naturally, every day in my process, it's always right when I get to where I start washing the wheels because I'm like, oh, I'm going to be quiet for a while. I'll return some phone calls. And so inevitably, I'm always on the phone talking a million miles a minute as I'm spraying crystal wash. And then I sound like I'm dying. And so I'm always like telling people, like, I don't have COVID, I'm using crystal wash. So that's not really a good thing to do. I would not be like me and try to not talk while you're using crystal wash.
That's funny.
During the training, yeah, during the training the other day, I was talking the whole time they were spraying crystal wash, and I was the only one coughing like I was going to die because I was talking. So if you're not like actively, inhaling it, crystal wash
Mhm.
is fine, but you definitely don't want to aerosolize it more than is necessary because it is an acid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
I agree. I agree.
yep, yep. Well,
All
very
right.
cool. Well, so real quick before we get off here, what do we have coming up? We've got training. Tony and I have training. Well, mainly Tony. I'm going to be there. um, Training at the end of the month before the
Yep.
next Bead Maker and Copyright. And
Yes.
yeah, so we've got some
Oh,
students
actually,
coming
yeah, our
over
bead
from
maker and
Hawaii.
coffee is that morning, that Monday morning.
Oh, it is? Oh, cool.
Well, so we're
Okay,
training
awesome.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but yeah, that Monday morning
Perfect.
before.
Okay, cool. So we'll be right on the heels of that. So we've got training coming up. We've got a busy summer coming up. It'd be hard to list everything, but just watch our social media for everything coming up. Stephen, Tony, and I will be there, so that will be fun. We'll be there for
Awesome.
3-4 days with Keith. Yeah, we'll all be there. Delaney's going to come with me. She's going to be Tony's intern. So
Yep.
Oh,
that's going
cool.
to be fun for him. He didn't ask for that. We
Fuck.
just volunteered ourselves for that. So
It's gonna
that'll
be
be
We'll
fun
make
for
fun.
it work.
you.
It'll be fun. It
Yeah.
will be fun.
Tony loves anytime spent with Delaney. We went to dinner the other night. It was so funny watching his face. She was sitting next to me and Tony was sitting across from me. And she's like, telling all of her stories. And it's so funny to watch his face. He's just like,
That's
so
funny.
he'll have a good time here in a couple weeks. It's going to be
Yeah.
good. So Stephen, anything coming up for you? You have any more cars and coffees planned, or
Yeah.
what's next on tap for you guys?
Yeah, we actually have one coming up this weekend on Sunday.
Oh,
Yeah,
fun.
on the 19th.
Very cool.
Yeah, we have a cars and
Amazing.
coffee. That's our next one. Yeah, and
Very
then I
cool.
got something working for June. Yeah, I got in
Uh-huh.
contact with somebody, so we're gonna schedule something for June. So
Awesome. Awesome. And one thing that I
Awesome.
forgot to mention, for those of you that don't follow Steven, I highly recommend following PNS Detail Products East Bay because he does a 5-minute Friday, which is always just kind of a quick rundown on some products or processes. I think last week was about bugs and stuff. And so, definitely follow him because I love the 5-minute Fridays. So super awesome. Just a quick hit. It's live, but obviously you can go back and watch it, but it's just kind of a quick hit on different PNS products. So, and he talks on there about what's coming up as well. So definitely make sure you follow PNS Detail Products East Bay, and you'll get to see everything Steven and Romero do and his crew. And, he always highlights, all of the cars and coffee, and it's awesome. So another great channel to follow on Instagram and Facebook. And Hans says, times to get ready to go out to dinner. Yep, we are still at breakfast, Hans. We're going to go have breakfast. So, well, very good. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on. This was super fun. I've been kind of holding you in my back pocket for the perfect timing, which I wanted you to come on right at car show season, just because you do such a great job over there. So, thank you for taking time out of your morning to be with us here this morning, and we will both see you here in just a couple weeks.
cool.
Yep.
Well, thank
Anything
you.
I forgot to?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, you guys have an awesome day. We finally got some sunshine here. So I have a boat to detail today that's going to be arriving any moment. So thank you both. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And then we will literally see you in 2 weeks, Stephen.
Okay, cool. Look forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank
All right.
you.
Take care. See you soon.